Working Fans Podcast. Cool.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Coming down 3, 2.
Welcome back for another week of the Working Fans Podcast. This is AJ. I'm the former wrestler. We've got Dave, the ultimate fan, here with us as we do every week. Our producer Joe likes to make us sound good and makes us look way more professional than we actually are. As always, you can find us on Twitter, that's @FansWorking, Facebook, Working Fans Pod. We've got email where you can reach out to us and please contact us to let us know what you think of the podcast and for any ideas that you might have. That's workingfanswrestlingpod@gmail.com. We're on Instagram where you can keep up with us at workingfanswrestling_pod. And then you can now listen to us on all major platforms, including Anchor.fm. We're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Apple Podcasts, and you can actually check us out on YouTube. Now, it's important when you go onto the Apple Podcasts and YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a rating, let us know what you think so you can help us out and we can continue to do what we love and bring you guys in as fans.
This is Roy Lucier, and you're listening to the Working Fans Podcast.
Welcome back to the Working Fans Podcast, and this week we have a very special guest. This man is the epitome of a working fan. I would argue that he's up there with Scott Teal, Mark James, and Jim Cornette when it comes to helping preserve wrestling history. He is the proprietor of Roy'sWrestlingVault.com. He's a former guest on the 605 Super Podcast. You've heard him on Keeping It 100, being introduced as Roy Lucier. He is Roy Lucier. Roy, how are you doing today? And thank you for joining us.
Oh my God, I can't believe you remember that. Yeah, I rib Conan about that every time I see him too. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that intro. And that's amazing. Thank you so much.
No problem. Now, I'm very familiar with you. Dave is a little less so. For anyone else that's unfamiliar with you, can you give a little background about yourself?
All right, basically I've been watching wrestling since 81. You know, as a kid, I went to shows in my area. I grew up near Anaheim. Actually, I was born in Garden Grove, so I went to a lot of wrestling shows in the Anaheim and LA area growing up. When I was 17 years old, I got introduced to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, and I started learning more about other shows in the area and other TV shows in the area. So I used to, my parents had a big satellite dish, so I would tape the Lucha Libre shows that were on the dish from all the different promotions, and I'd start tape trading, so that's how I amassed a huge tape trading collection. I also learned where some Japanese stores were in my area that rented the weekly TV shows. So this is around 1992, so just watched all that. I ended up going to a lot of the AAA shows that were in the area at the LA Sports Arena, the big ones like When Worlds Collide. I was front row for that. But not just When Worlds Collide, all the littler shows they did that they ran. I went to pretty much all those unless I got kicked out of the show. Long story there. But it's just, I've been a fan for so long. In fact, you know, even last night I went to a show in San Francisco with LA Park and Flamita and Puma King on the show. And, you know, this is just my passion, you know.
Roy, that's awesome. I'm kind of curious because, you know, remember kind of wrestling the same way, but I wasn't as exposed as much to the different stuff as you were. But I'm kind of curious, being exposed to that much wrestling at that time, like who were some of the people that drew you in? Like characters, matches?
Oh, Super Delphine and Michinoku Pro jumps out immediately. He was just like so charismatic, loved his mask. I thought he was just like a step above, you know, everybody else. Michinoku Pro, I mean, if no one out there has heard of it, basically it was a Lucha Libre type company that ran in Japan where they had, you know, masked wrestlers and they pretty much did it under Lucha rules. You know, it's where great Sasuke, Taka Michinoku, the WWE announcer Funaki started. That was a huge promotion that I was really into. Obviously, All Japan, New Japan, All Japan Women, you know, the Lucha promotions in Mexico, AAA, CMLL, UWA. as far as characters, I mean, Rey Mysterio Jr., oh geez, I remember when he started back in Santa Ana in 1990, he was using the name El Colibri, the hummingbird. You know, he was like 5'3", 120 pounds wrestling, but you could always tell there was something special about him. But back then there was that mental stigma that, oh, he's just too small and, you know, he's never going to get anywhere. And lo and behold, AAA and ECW believed in him and enough to, you know, kind of get him out there, and then WCW took the risk and brought him in, and, you know, the rest is history. Those are the two that jump out immediately that really attracted, you know, hooked me in and stuff. Oh geez, there's so many like big name lucha characters over the years that I could think of. You know, Silver King, Picano. UWA used to bring in like random foreigners like Bam Bam Bigelow, Bad News Brown, Andre the Giant. That, you know, you would turn it on, it was like you see these lucha guys in the ring with the Americans that, you know, have name value to us that we're used to. And it was a cool time to be a fan.
Now, you were speaking of the tape trading community back then. More recently, I've interacted with you and both Justin Desind of WrestleTopia in the current tape trading market. Since you've been tape trading so long, what are the similarities and what are the differences over the years?
Everything is a lot easier accessible nowadays with YouTube and Daily Motion, and I'm sure there's other ones that are out there similar to it that are out there. It's a completely different market. I remember you would order a tape or trade a tape with somebody, you know, wait a few days and get it, and you'd get some fourth generation skippity video that, you know, you deal with the skips just to watch the, you know, the great stuff, and you'd be happy with it. Like, I remember when I heard about the Ricky Choshu shoe kick incident with Akira Maeda, and I got it. That tape must have been seventh generation, jumping around and stuff like that. But I was like, you know, a little kid at Christmas time when I got to see it. You know, that it just a lot. Really, it's a lot better nowadays to be a fan as far as the accessibility to seeing all the great wrestling. As long as you're able to have a venue for it. Like, I really noticed like AAA doesn't put out any of their old TV shows professionally. Like, they, on their Twitch channel, everything starts from like 2002, 2003, and then they just randomly put stuff up with no order. Well, what about the fans that want to see stuff from the 90s? Or, you know, like an order, like, I wish they had some kind of paid deal like WWE had with their network, where you could actually choose the week that you want to watch or the matches that you want to watch, instead of them just throwing random matches up on their 24-hour channel. So that's why I try my best. I have several YouTube channels out there for the listeners to check out. Now, because of copyright issues, what I do is I spread out the videos depending on the promotion or where it's from. So I got a lot of YouTube channels like Roy Lucier CMLL, Roy Lucier AAA, Roy Lucier Japanese Classics, Roy Lucier Wrestling Independence, Roy Lucier CMLL, and so on and so forth. So that way I can throw up a bunch of videos on there, and let's say, lo and behold, something gets copyright and the channel gets taken down. Well, there's still another 12 channels that are up there to get around every video get taken down. So that's, you know, something I've tried to do and I upload on those every single day to try to put something up for the fans to watch.
And that was something I was just showing Dave about, because when I was giving him the rundown of you, I had to show him the YouTube channels and be like, this guy, I don't know how he finds hours in the day to work a job and then to post all this historical footage, and great footage too. Like, if you're not checking out Roy Lucier's YouTube channels, you're not doing life right at the moment.
Roy, I'm guessing you don't sleep a lot too.
I work on little sleep.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Now, Roy, we're from the New England area, and we're lucky to be like in the hotbed of WWE. We've got great independent promotions like NEW and Beyond Wrestling around us. What's the indie scene like around you, and what promotions do you frequent?
The biggest promotion that I frequent is Pro Wrestling Revolution out here. It's run by Gabriel Ramirez. He's been in business for, I'd say, about 11 years now. I remember they had their 10-year anniversary a year ago, so I want to say 11. I am such a huge fan of Lucha Libre that I am very partial toward the lucha scene. Gabe does his best to bring in lucha guys from all around the world. Not only that, but earlier this year, he was the only one of record to date that has brought in Jun Akiyama to work in the United States. He brought him into San Francisco March earlier this year for a show, for his U.S. debut. So I'm very partial toward Gabe, and if anyone, I would, give him the first shout out. Also, All Pro Wrestling, they used to be run by Roland Alexander. Many of you recognize the name from the Beyond the Mat documentary. They still run in Daly City a few times a year. It's now run by Marcus Jacobson, Marcus Mack. They got an amazing promotion there. They run the King of Indie tournaments every July. Supreme Pro Wrestling is here in Sacramento. There's a few other ones as well. Total Wrestling Federation, and I think that Virgil Flynn shut down earlier this year. But we got a small scene out here. Usually for any kind of like really good shows, you got to drive that hour and a half, 2 hours to get there. But it's definitely well worth it after the show is over. I went to a show last night, and the main event was L.A. Park, the original La Parka against J.R. Kratos from the Border Patrol. There was just a wild brawl all over the building. I posted a video of it up on my Twitter and my Facebook for anyone to watch, but that was just 25 minutes of all over the place brawling. That was just amazing, and surprisingly, L.A. Park lost the match.
Wow. That's amazing, because J.R. Kratos, I've only been familiar with him from the APW scene, but he did pop up on, I believe, the last couple Bloodsports.
Yeah.
Yes, he beat Simon Gotch on, or what was his new name, Simon Grimm?
Yeah, they kind of go between the two, it seems.
Yeah, he fought Simon Grimm on the Bloodsport in April. I remember it was like the second match on the show. Kratos actually lives in the same area I do out here in Sacramento, so it was like, kind of huge to watch that. And I remember he did this like jumping fist down on him and, ended up getting the win. Kratos is a big guy that I'm really shocked has not got that big, because he's in the same camp as Jeff Cobb. I'm really kind of surprised, not just Jeff Cobb, but Tim Thatcher as well. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten his big break yet, especially with so many big promotions that are signing talent and, the scene getting, kind of smaller and smaller.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of got into the next question right away, but who are some of the next big names coming out of that area that the average fan might not be familiar with?
Colt Stevens, the other Border Patrol guy. I mean, he's a Davey Richards, Eddie Edwards type guy that I'm pretty high on. Obviously, J.R. Kratos. Jacob Fatu got signed by MLW, so that took care of that one.
That's major right there.
Yeah, I'm really happy for him. That was huge. Jacob's got a younger brother, Journey Fatu. He's been wrestling for about 3 years now. Once he hits his stride, I do expect really big things from him. I think right now that pro wrestling takes a backseat to a real life job, so that's why he doesn't get as much time to wrestle as he could. But from what he has done, he does look really good. Levi Shapiro, he does kind of an older, like an old school gimmick, kind of similar to like what Steve Corino did back in ECW back in the day. He's managed by, I'm trying to think of the guy, he's got the Wrestling with Regret.
Brian Zane, I believe.
Brian Zane, yes. He's managed by Brian Zane. I definitely see big things from him, hopefully, getting his big break at some point, especially with his gimmick, the throwback and stuff like that. So he's another one I definitely hopefully see big things from.
Nice, yeah. He's almost got like that Arn Anderson jacket going on, right? The red jacket.
Yep, that's him, yeah.
Who does he team with? Because I bought a couple APW shows about a year ago or so whenever Cody was making the loop. And I remember Levi Shapiro, Brian Zane, and then I feel like there was another guy in the team.
Buddy Royal.
Yes, that's it.
Buddy Royal ended up they split up. Buddy Royal ended up going to the New Japan dojo. And he ended up leaving the dojo so he wasn't with them anymore. I'm not sure what happened. Someone told me about it last night. Something real life kind of took over, so he ended up leaving the dojo. But he did come back at the APW show on Sunday. So, yeah, I'm not sure where that's going right now, or if it's just something on the side, or if this is going to be a full-time thing or not. But, no, Buddy Burrell was a great talent as well.
Wow. Now, you talked earlier about kind of how your approach to posting on YouTube. And you've had headaches both posting on YouTube and Facebook. Can you tell us a little bit about the process of posting to either and any tips you'd have for people that plan on posting on either?
Yeah, don't post on Facebook. Don't post on Facebook. I'll tell you this right now. I had my Facebook account that I created in 2009. I thought, oh, it's cool. Let me post directly on Facebook. And lo and behold, one day Sony came down on me on an upload. I think I uploaded that old Japanese TV show, the World Pro Wrestling or Weekly Pro Wrestling. They were doing a thing about the Von Erichs against Gino and Chris in the match from Texas Stadium. The match where like the car was on the line or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, the problem was that whatever song the Von Erichs came to the ring to, Sony owned the rights to it, and I ended up getting some kind of like major copyright strike from Facebook, and they ended up like suspending my account over it. So YouTube will work with you as far as if you upload something onto YouTube, because YouTube now has the option to where it can detect the music if it's copyrighted and remove it for you. Facebook doesn't have that option. So if it's owned music, they'll strike you over it. Just stay away from Facebook unless the video that you upload doesn't have any type of swing music whatsoever or background music or something. Because I've talked to promoters that have tried uploading, streaming a show, and they'll get a notice because one of their guys is coming to the ring to, real music, that, hey, we can't play this or something, and if you go with it, we're going to remove your channel. So I don't do it.
All right, I got a question for you. I'm kind of curious. We're talking about music. With music being so big in wrestling, is there a particular wrestler or wrestlers whose theme music you really loved or loved in the past?
Wow, that's a big question. Wow. God, I don't even know where to start on that.
Well, I mean, for me personally, like the Von Erichs, like, Kevin and, Stranglehold, like those were always some of my favorites.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Jeez, like the team of the Guapos in Mexico, Bestia Salvaje, Emilio Charles, and Shocker and Scorpio Jr., they used to come out to like the Backstreet Boys music, Backstreet Back All Night, just random songs like that where it's like, the song sticks with you and you hear it on the radio and it's the first thing that you think of is, oh my God, I remember when wrestlers used to come to the ring, like, what's that song from the Alan Parsons Project that Ricky Steamboat used to come to the ring to, that you hear at the Chicago Bulls games nowadays?
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. That one got me big, man. I'm trying to think of the name of it, but yeah. I'm glad you remember that Ricky Steamboat used to come out to that. I try to tell people about that.
Yeah, Ricky Steamboat, that was a big one. I mean, even like nowadays, if I'm, flicking the channels and there's a basketball game, I know it's pretty much the Chicago Bulls one, but you see other teams are using it or other sports, and it's like, wow, I remember when Ricky Steamboat used to come to the ring to that, it's like
that was my WrestleMania 3 moment right there. Actually, it was that song when he won, and it's all edited out now, but
yeah, everything is edited out. It's made ECW on the network unwatchable. I could deal with Smoky Mountain or a few of the other promotions or Mid-South because the music wasn't so entailed in it.
Right.
But with ECW, oh geez, forget it. That was like you had Mikey Whipwreck with Loser. You had, even to this date, if I'm flicking through my Amazon Prime music thing and Enter Sandman comes on, I get goosebumps, and I could just picture this guy banging a cane against his head while the whole crowd chants ECW. That moment stuck in my head forever.
I told Dave, if anybody's going to remember anything old, it's going to be Roy. You're big into wrestling history, and why is preserving wrestling history so important to you?
Can I talk about the Cauliflower Alley?
Yes, I was actually going to ask you about that coming up, but let's roll it into one.
Okay. So earlier this year, I got a phone call from Brian Blair, who's the president of Cauliflower Alley. Many of you remember him from his days as the tag team as the Killer Bees. They needed somebody to run all the social media for the Cauliflower Alley Club, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll do this in a heartbeat. Running all those Facebook groups and dealing with 12-year-old kids who had to keep booting because they swore they know more than the rest of us for year on, year out before I just got tired and left all those groups. That's why Brian called me up and he's like, hey, can you take care of our social media? I'm like, oh yeah, I'd be more than happy to. Now, the Cauliflower Alley is a 501c organization, so they're nonprofit. What they do is that they raise money for the boys. Let's say, for example, Paul Orndorff, his home is about to get taken away. He gives us a call. He shows proof that, hey, I'm struggling. I'm going through a hardship right now. I need your guys' help. Cauliflower Alley will step up and help him out with his hardships so that he doesn't have to worry about that. We did that with him. We did that with Kamala. Not only Kamala never again has to pay taxes on his home. That's taken care of for the rest of his life because he's at a certain age. There's a lot of wrestlers. Rico Constantino from Chuck and Billy, we helped him out a couple of years ago when he was going through some medical issues. And there's a lot of other ones that, HIPAA, they don't want to come forward and stuff like that. But a lot of the boys, as long as they can provide, as long as you've been in the business at least 3 years, and that you can show actual hardship and prove it, Cauliflower Alley will help up and step up and help you with that hardship financially. It's our way of trying to give back for all the years that you gave us in the business. Cauliflower Alley, we do 4 newsletters a year from our newsletter of the year. And then once a year, we have a big award ceremony, a banquet out in Las Vegas. Next year, it's in the Gold Coast Casino from April 27th to the 29th. And we've announced a few awards so far for it. We have a Luchador Award that we created a couple years ago for Blue Demon Jr., but we're going to do the second Luchador Award to Rey Mysterio Jr. at next year. And we're also doing the Iron Mike Mazurki Award winner to Medusa Michelli as well next year. And then we're still lining up a whole bunch more names. We got a Rising Stars Award we're giving to Madison Miles, Canadian girl that is, I believe she's out in England right now. Art Williams will be getting the referee award, and we got a few other ones that we're giving out. But the organization, this is something I'm really happy to be a part of because it really does give back to the business and the guys and the ladies that, gave to us as fans and, are down on their times and need a little help. So that's something I'm just really happy to be a part of. And
you were also a part of getting money to Takayama a couple years ago when he was injured, right? Can you tell us a little about that?
That's right. I completely forgot about that. Okay. So there was a original drive that Eric Chominski did. He ran the Real Hero Archive for a bit where he puts up a bunch of Japanese videos because he had a way to take them on TV currently. So what he did was he ran an account, like a PayPal account, where he raised money and it ended up being about $7,000. And he's friends with Kevin Kelly, and he told Kevin Kelly what was going on, and Kevin Kelly had him meet with Minoru Suzuki backstage before New Year's Dash began, and Minoru Suzuki is still close friends with Takayama to this date, and a lot of little shows in Japan end up doing these little donation things like the Takayama Fund and stuff. Well, he ended up handing over the equivalent of $7,800 to Suzuki. Well, we tried to repeat that. We knew that Suzuki was going to be here in the States. And one of my best friends in real life is Harry Smith, Davey Boy Smith Jr., who at the time was actually in Suzuki-gun with Suzuki. So I told Harry what was going on, and Harry's like, well, we can just give it to him at the hotel. So we ran an event at a bar in Long Beach and ended up raising, I want to say around $1,000. And we ended up giving it directly to Minoru Suzuki at the hotel that night. And he ended up doing it for Takayama's medical funds. when he got back to Japan.
Wow, that's an amazing story. I definitely wanted to share that with everyone. Dave, what did you think about that?
Yeah, that is awesome that you guys did that. And I was kind of thinking too, like, I don't know why when we were talking to Roy about guys that are should be top stars in the modern day top promotions right now. And you mentioned being friends with Harry Smith, and I'm thinking there's a guy who's got the look, who's just legitimate and everything. And I'm like, man, why is Harry not that guy right now in AEW or WWE? I know he's under contract with MLW, but I feel like he's somebody who should be making some big money.
No, I fully agree. I don't get what the deal is either. I don't. He has no ego issues. He's really trying to reinvent himself with doing the hybrid, the MMA style along with the pro wrestling style. He can be the cutest baby face in the world with the biggest smile, or he could be the meanest, growliest, come out and kick your ass type possible. I don't get why he's not a bigger star right now, but hopefully he'll get that. I'm not saying MLW is like lower the chain, because he is pretty happy where he's at right now, but I'm just surprised he's not even higher on that totem pole right now.
Yeah, I agree. I love MLW too. This is a guy who should be, like, I feel like, in one of the top promotions making big money.
Yeah. And, hopefully we'll get to see him, on the big stage again, other than, his uncle getting attacked at the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Yeah, that was something. He laid in some shots there.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. That was great.
That was awesome.
You spoke earlier about the Cauliflower Alley Club. Is it hard to do that, upload videos, and balance a day job for you at all?
Oh, yeah. So, wake up, go to work, take care of what I need to do, come home, get my dinner ready, flip open the laptop, and... Wait, what? No, I don't wake up and download and go to work. A year or so ago, Bob Barnett, I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with him.
I've heard of him through the 605.
Yeah, he's a wrestling lawyer that ended up, because he lived in the LA area, same area as I. He used to drive down for all the Tijuana shows in the late 90s, early 2000s. Well, he ended up just like a year or so ago saying, I'm done with wrestling. And he called me up and he asked me if I wanted his collection. I'm like, well, yeah, because he saw all the uploading that I was doing. So not only did he give me all the handhelds of all the stuff that he went to, he also taped CMLL and AAA every week on the TV that it was on. So what I've been doing is going through his collection disc by disc, cutting out the matches and uploading them all onto YouTube one by one. So that's been the big project that I've been working on lately, is just all these CMLL matches. It's around 1999, and right now I'm going into late 2001. And this is stuff with, like, Los Guapos and Los Infernales, and Santos still there, Negro Casas. I mean, this stuff is just amazing to watch. I've been having a blast, like, uploading these and watching these.
And that's pretty wild. Now, Roy, as you know, I talked to you about this last night, but I want to get it on the show. I'm a big fan of your podcast, Japanese Wrestling Classics with Roy Lucier. And I kind of wanted to know, what's the state of the podcast? Where is it at right now?
It's on hiatus. I did like 7 or 8 episodes of it. I do believe it was 8. My last one being with Jungle Jim Steele. It's the only interview he ever gave, too, by the way. And for the next one, I contacted Tom McGee. And I tried to get Tom McGee on. We ended up, like, not getting a hold of each other again. And at that point, it was just like, we just couldn't make it happen. So I just was so mentally set on Tom McGee, I just decided to take a hiatus. Now, when I went out to Vegas for StarCast and I met Tom McGee, he fully remembered me. We talked for a while. He did tell me to get a hold of him, that we would do the episode. That was in May. It is currently November, and we still haven't had a chance to converse with each other. So once I get a hold of Tom McGee and I'm able to do that episode, because the funny thing is I actually have all the questions ready to go, and of all people, Chris Hero helped me with the questions, because he was like wanting to hear this interview as well. So he helped me to help shape up the questions and all that. So, yeah, well, once I finally get a hold of McGee and we ended up like going, forward, then definitely the podcast will come back. I'm sure there's a few other people I can interview and stuff like that, but it was like I was just so mentally set on Tom McGee that I really, didn't want to interview anyone else. And I did hit a lot of the gaijins, the top ones that I wanted to interview people that hadn't been interviewed before. I mean, everyone and their mother up on the top level has interviewed Hansen, Fung, all the big gaijin names. People have already interviewed them. I wanted to hear the stories from the guys like Kurt Beyer and Joel Deaton and Richard Slinger. Like, Richard Slinger, after the interview was over, thanked me for the interview. And I said, no problem, why? And he's all like, the other two interviews that I've given, it was an hour and a half of talking of stories about Terry Gordy, his uncle, instead of his stories. So I just wanted to present, the lower guys and to get their voice out. The one I did with Kurt Beyer was 3 hours long. And it wasn't even, obviously I talked a little about his dad growing up, but it was about his career. Yeah, that's something I'm actually very proud of, that I was able to do.
Roy, just a quick sidebar here. You said Jim Steele. Is that Jungle Jim Steele from the WCW days? Did some enhancement work for him, I believe?
That's him.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
That actually is what led us to get...
match with 911. That's him.
Oh, no shit.
That kind of idea led us to get Bob Cook not too long ago, because since we're not established, we wanted to get guys we could get, and we found that guys that might have been enhancement or underneath guys tell a lot better stories. They're a lot more forthcoming with things.
Absolutely. No. Back in 94, 95, 96, I was sometimes hosting, sometimes co-hosting a show called Squared Circle Radio out in Sun Valley with a guy named James Boone, the Shadow Man. And we had a third co-host who was Bob Cook. And Bob is just amazing with the stories that he has. And Bob Cook's like, you'd see him all over the place on TV because, he was enhancement on Raw, enhancement on WCW and stuff like that. And then I remember watching this shoot interview with Dustin Rhodes, and someone asked him, like, who's threw the best punch that you've ever been a part of? And immediately, with no hesitation, he's like, oh, Bob Cook. Bob Cook has the best left hand in the business, and if you're trying to get into the business, you need to watch Bob Cook matches in order to learn how to throw a punch. It's like Lawler Dundee level punching there. It's insane how good his punches and stuff. So, yeah, kudos on Bob Cook. And, he grew up around the Malenko school. So, he's got the Waldman, the Bobby Blaze, the Carl Gotch stories. I mean, he's got some great stories to tell.
Excellent. Thank you. Is there anything you want to promote on the way out?
Check out my website, Roy's Wrestling Vault. .com. On there, I have all my different YouTube channels. I have my newest uploads onto YouTube that I put up there. I also share some pictures throughout my life from wrestling shows I've been to. I also do a little historical thing from the SoCal Lucha scene in the 90s, where I've gone through the top Mexican newspaper, La Opinion, and I shared stories from each and every Lucha show that took place from 92, 93, and 94. So, yeah, just check out my website, royswrestlingvault.com. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, and apologize to Michelle for us keeping you so long.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one, Roy.
You too.
Guys, thank you for listening to the 531 here on YouTube this week. If you like what you hear, you can always find us on Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and on the Apple Podcast where you can subscribe and also give us a 5-star rating. We appreciate you listening. We want your feedback, 531, and if you agree with us, if you disagree with us, we also want you to let us know, and let us know what your 531 would be. Come up with a top 5 and let us know, and we'll tell you why you're wrong. And in order for us to do that, please contact us on Twitter. We're at Fans Working. Facebook page, Working Fans Wrestling Pod. Email workingfanswrestlingpod@gmail.com. It's very important that you actually contact us on these platforms because we want this to be your interactive place to talk wrestling.